I hope everybody's doing okay in their quarantine. I heard a lot of people got their stimulus checks today. If you have direct deposit for your grab pillows. This is what you will need for a couple of exercises just for support of your head and neck. And let's go ahead and lay down on our backs. We're going to start with pelvic clock. We've done this before. If you've watched any of my other classes, it's a lovely way to start class. I'm going to do pelvis. 12 o'clock would be your belly button. 6 o'clock would be your pubic bone. Hi, Katie. Okay, go, Katie. And we're just rocking back and forth between those two positions. So 12 o'clock is your belly button. 6 o'clock is the pubic bone. Let's do just a couple more times, forwards and back. Oops. And then come back to center. The hole. That's kind of what we're doing with the pelvis here, but just from side to side. So imagine you were sending that marble from hip bone to hip bone. There shouldn't be a whole lot of movement in your knees. This is a pretty tiny movement. And if you're on the ball, you'll feel it a little bit more. If you're not on the ball, it just looks back and forth. Okay, come back to center. Now we're going to try to hit those four corners. Okay, you're going to roll back to 12 o'clock. You're going to go to the right hip bone, 3 o'clock. Down to 6, over to 9, and back to 12. 3, 6, soften through the head, neck, shoulders. Go ahead and switch directions. Roll the opposite way. See if you can hit each number on the clock and notice if there's a way that feels a little bit more challenging, or if there's like a quadrant that feels a little sticky, or if this feels great today. This is something that you can practice every day just to kind of check in and wake up some of those stabilizer muscles that hug around the pelvis. Let's go one more time, all the way around. And then just settle in between a 12 and a 6 o'clock. I'm going to refer to as your neutral spine. So go ahead and grab your TheraBand that's tied together. If you have one, remember this whole workout can be done without a TheraBand. Okay, so I'm going to put the one that I have that's together around my thighs. Okay, right above the knee works great. If you need to adjust as you go, that's fine. If you're tying yours together, make it about the width of your hips. The smaller the hole, the harder it'll. Make sure that there's enough tension in your band with your feet at hip distance. If you have to press out into your knees and it's past your ankles or past your hip line, go ahead and make your circle a little smaller. All right, when you're ready, we're going to start to tip the pelvis back to 12 o'clock and then continue to peel the hips up, lifting the hips up to the top so you hit about the base of the shoulder blade. And then you're going to roll back down. You're going to articulate the spine and try to hit one vertebrae at a time, rolling all the way down into your pubic bone. Even if you want to, go to a little 6 o'clock. Just make sure that you roll back, peel up, and then reach. As you lift up, think about pulling your feet back towards you and your knees reaching forwards to help create a little length through the body. Go ahead and lower back down. And then roll back up. Let's do 3 more. Warming up the hip extensors, warming up the spine. Opening up through the shoulders. Front of the shoulders stay wide as you roll down. Back. And down. Let's hold the next one. Come up and hold. We're going to do little pulses with the knees, just gentle out. And think about pulsing, I said knees, but think about pulsing with your thighs instead. So you're going to let them open an inch and close an inch. Slowly lift your hips up higher. Draw the rib cage gently together. The pelvis is still and steady. The pulses come from the thighs. Feet stay down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the knees come back to hip distance, and we're going to lower down. Now bring the feet wider than your hips and try to make it easier on your hips, might be harder, just try to take notice. Now we're adding some pressure into and tension into the band, so this should feel a little bit harder. And next one we'll hold. Okay, lift. Hold the bridge. See if you can come up to us. Draw the tail under like you're reaching it up and towards the pubic bone. Pulse for 6, 5, 4, keep your hips up, 3, 2, 1. Let the knees come back and then lower all the way down and let your knees rock from side to side. You can do so with the band on there. No problem. Bring your feet back to hip distance. We're going to go back up into the bridge for one more variation. Knees at hip distance and hold. And then when you're ready, you're going to take a big inhale, push into your left foot, and then float your right leg up to tabletop. Let it come back down, and then switch legs. So the knee stays bent, you bring the femur right on top of the hip, and then you bring it back down. Keep the neck really long. Use your breath. Inhale to prepare, exhale to lift. We've got one more on each side. Awesome. Feet come down, lift the hips up 1 inch, and then lower through the spine. Okay, last set of bridges. We're going to come back up. We're going to hold in the bridge, and then we're going to bring the right leg to tabletop. Extend that leg towards the ceiling. We're going to lower the leg and then lift. Lower the leg to hip height and lift. For 3, keep the hips level and lifted. 2, 1, lift the leg. Bring it back down to the mat, reset the hips. Try to stay in the bridge to do the other side. Lift the leg up. 5 here, inhale down. Exhale, lift. 4, 3, 2, last 1, lift up. Foot comes down, reset the hips, and lower. Hug the knees in towards the chest, and we give a little rock from side to side. And we're going to knees to start, and we're going to let them just open gently towards either side. So finding that neutral position in your pelvis. I shouldn't feel like there's any ceiling with the knees. Exhale as you push. Inhale to control, and really take note if one leg likes to push a little bit further in, and if you don't have the band, you'll watch your control. How far out can you go controlling the legs? Up and in, and out. Trying to keep the feet mostly down. It's okay if you roll a little bit to the outside of the foot, but not so far that your feet are off. Okay, last one, press out, hold, little pulses, out, out, out. Focus on the out, press for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly let them come back in. And now we're going to alternate. So you're going to let the right knee open as the left knee presses gently into the band to stay vertical, okay? Then slowly let the knee come back in and alternate. Check in with the upper body. Sometimes and imagine whichever knee isn't moving has a really fragile little teacup on the top of it, and you didn't want the teacup to break, so it doesn't get to move at all. So let's do 2 more on each side. Use your breath. Check in with your ribs. Make sure your gaze is just up towards the ceiling. Keep up. Okay, 90 degrees. I'm going to take the other leg and bring it up to tabletop. Now, if you did that and you got this huge space beneath you in your low back, see if you can come back to neutral. And then we're going to start to march the legs. So the hands pressing gently into the mat. We're going to let one leg dip down. You're going to let that toe tap the mat. You're going to exhale, bring it back up. Inhale, opposite leg comes down and back up. And when you do this, there should be no movement in your other leg. That's what's going to give you the tension in your band, right? Awesome. Keep moving. Inhale like your toe is dipping into a really cold pond of water. You want to bring it right back up using your abdominals and your hip flexors to an appropriate amount. And if you're getting lots of movement in your pelvis, maybe you don't go all the way down towards the mat. That's totally fine. Okay. Good. Now pause. Nice job. One more on each side. The hips should be getting nice and warmed up by now. Last one. Take it apart. I give you a bit of something together. And we're going to come onto our sides. You're going to need your pillow so that you can continue the exercise comfortably. So you're going to lay on your side, support your head with your pillows, And try to come into the center of the mat with your hips. One of my favorite exercises. You're going to start with the hands together. This is where you're going to have that slack. Now, before you start, check in with your body. Make sure that you've got this. And we're going to open it. The bottom arm has to stabilize on the ground. The head is going to follow along. So if you get to here, and this is already the hardest thing, I want you to think about the movement. It initiates with your arm, but as soon as the arm gets toward the ceiling, think about the movement initiating from your chest and your rib cage to help you open. Pause in your rotation and see if you can lengthen the arms out and away. If for some reason the band is not making this, exhale as you open. The head is going to look at the arm that's opening the whole time. And then when you come back in, the ribs initiate the movement and the arm finishes. Let's do 3 more. Up, inhale. Exhale, keep that bottom arm really strong onto the ground. And over 2. And take your time with these. 1 more. Awesome. So now we'll go ahead and switch sides. For sake of staying looking at you guys, I'm just going to move to the other side. Okay. Head on the first third of the pillows. Go ahead and hold it at the same height, the same width that you did on the other side. So we start with lots of slack. Okay. Body right in the center, ribs, hips, and shoulders aligned. Inhale, start to open. Adjust the band width if you need to. Open and reach. Try to reach that back arm back even farther. I'm trying to keep that top shoulder congruent in its socket as you open. Open with the chest and the ribs. Come back in and across. Notice if this feels different from side to side. That's a good possibility. Open. 2. Keeping the knees heavy onto the mat as best you can. And last one. Open here. In the hands. And if you need a little support under your head and neck, you can do it. You can stand on that side so we don't hit each other. Okay, so onto your back, reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. We're going to start with hands about shoulder width. If you need a little bit more slack in the band, widen the grip. And then we're going to let the arms reach out towards either side as far as you can without changing the orientation of your spine or your rib cage. And then come back up with control, nice and slow. Okay. If that was too hard and you couldn't get pretty close to the floor, widen your grip. Exhale, pull out and away. Slowly come up. Check in with the rib cage here. Make sure the back of your ribs are gently pressing into the mat. Especially as you open, use an exhale to help you open. And then inhale to stabilize, to come up. Exhale, press out. 2 more like this. Okay, so you're gonna let left arm stay really still, right arm is gonna open up towards the side as far as it can go without changing the orientation of your other arm. Awesome, reach out. Up and in. Move with control, especially on the way back up, okay? That shouldn't feel like a rest when you let your arm come back up. It's some really nice eccentric control that your body is doing right there. Chin is down, back of the neck is really long. Let's go 1 more time to each side. Once the arms come back up, we're gonna pull out just gently on the band, and then we're gonna let both arms travel behind us. Super slow. Take your time. Flip your grip on the band so that your palms are facing backwards, okay? And let's do that again. Pulling gently on the band. 2 more. Awesome. Come back up to the ceiling. Flip your grip back. We're going to do a single arm variation of that. So left arm stays still. Right arm is going to pull back. So it's almost like you're playing a little diagonal. And then come back up. And switch. Let's actually go both arms. So one arm pulls down, the other arm pulls back and on the diagonal. Yeah, so it's almost like one arm comes down towards the side and the other comes back up and then switch. So it's like you're trying to pull towards your opposite shoulder to opposite hip. Good. Take the time throughout every movement. Awesome. One more time to each side. Tie your band back together so it comes back to about hips width. Or if you've got another band that's already tied together, go ahead and reposition maybe a little bit farther in towards you. You're going to hold on to the back of the thighs with your hands. You'll have that nice little handle on the back of the thighs. And then you're going to start to press the thighs into the hands. Eventually, that's going to feel like you need to lift your chin. And you're going to press the thighs into the hands so much that it helps you come up to a seated position, okay? All while pressing out into your band, wherever it may be. Then we're exhale to curl up, trying to use as little momentum as possible. None if you can, okay? Sit tall and roll back. Arms straighten, not roll like a ball. We're going really slowly. You're using your abdominals to help you move, press. Use your thighs and your hands like a pulley system. It's like a push-pull sensation to come up and down. We're going to do 3 more. Roll back. Find that roundness in the spine. Control. See how slow you can make this movement. And press out. Roll. And come up. 2 more. Roll down. Press out. Keep pushing into the band. And roll forwards. Okay, for this one, you're gonna let the legs come straight. You're gonna press out gently into the band. If it's around, it can be anywhere, under your thighs, your calves. First, the feet will travel with you, but push out into your band and try to keep the feet on the floor. Head is the last thing to touch, and then you can reach the arms up and overhead. Okay, arms travel to the ceiling, and then inhale. Let's go ahead and slowly peel up. Roll up and try to peel each bone up at a time. If it feels good for you to take a little stretch forwards, go ahead and do that. Round back up to seated and roll back down. Take your time, keep your feet down, press out into the band. Breathe through that articulation of the spine, reach up and over. Slowly let the arms come up. Curl, peel, exhale. Keep pushing into the band to help you come up and stretch forwards. Let's do 2 more of those, okay? Roll down. Out. And back. Arms up. Exhale, take your time, peel it up. Feel that nice little shake through the abdominals. Good, all the way down. Nice. Go ahead and hug your knees into your chest to gather your band. Untie it again. Okay. You get a minute. If your knot is getting stronger by pushing out into it, take your time. Untie it and then come back onto your back. If you need support under your head, go ahead and grab a pillow. Awesome. So once you're there, you're going to take the band, try to keep it as flat as you can and put it around your foot closest to the camera, okay? Now hold with so take your hands, let your palms face away from you, and then go ahead and grab the band in between your thumb and your first finger, okay? So now you've got the tails of the bands out towards the other side. You're gonna pull the elbows down so that the triceps stay in contact with the floor the whole time. We're gonna start just a little lift and lower of the leg. Okay, so you're gonna exhale, press the leg down towards the mat without letting your hands or your arms change position, and then see if you can get it to come back up to vertical. And then exhale, press down again. Check in with your pelvis, try to keep it in its neutral alignment. So that marble that you were balancing at the beginning is right in the center and it's not gonna move, okay? Now we're going to turn this into a circle. We're going to let the leg travel out towards the side, down and around, and up through center. Okay, notice that nothing is changing in my upper body, nothing is changing in my arms. I'm holding tension on the band to help me create this circle in my hip joint, out and around. This is giving us a lot of feedback and making this exercise somewhat easier in a sense. So if you'd like this to be harder on your pelvic stability, go ahead and take the band away, do the same movement, but just be aware that you're gonna have to have a lot more control through the pelvis to do that. No problem if you do, okay? 3 more. Exhale out, around and up. 2. And 1. Nice job. Go ahead and switch legs. Bring it across the other, almost ball of the foot. Hold it the same way. Pull the elbows down, opposite knee is bent. We're going to start with just a little lift and lower. Exhale down. Inhale to come up. Exhale, press. Shoulders stay open and wide. Neck stays soft. Press and feel your leg get really long away from you as you travel out. Nice. 2 more. Balance that little teacup on that knee again. And only let the leg travel out as far as you can without letting the pelvis move. Go a lot smaller. Your hips shouldn't rock from side to side. Helping create strength through that low back. 2 more. Nice. Last one. Up. And take the band in both hands again. Let your legs come out. We're going to come back up to a seated position, but we're going to have the arms go up and overhead with the band this time. Pull out on your band. See what this does for your roll-up. Does it help? Does it make it harder? Everybody's different, okay? Inhale the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, start to nod the chin. Curl up and reach forwards. Take a little stretch with the band out and then lengthen up to seated. Go ahead and face me. Come to whatever a comfortable seat means for you, whether you're on your knees, cross-legged, whatever. We're just going to take the band and do some upper back exercises, I guess you would call it, just to help with a little bit of posture. Okay, so first, just like we did on the mat, we're going to open and close. You can do this with hand weights. If you don't have a band, you can do this with nothing as well. The more narrow you hold on the band, the harder it will be to open the arms, the more almost muscle work that you'll get out of it. But I want you to sit up really tall as you do it. And as you open, try not to change the position of your spine. It stays right on top of your pelvis. Okay, let's do 3 more. Exhale out. Inhale, slowly let it come back in. 2. And as it travels behind your head, okay, let it come back up and just shoulder height in front of you. Okay, lift up. As you pull the arms out, it travels behind the head. Try not to let your head or your shoulders lean forwards to let the band do that. Okay, so come back up into shoulder height. Up. And if you can't get it super low and you're getting it to here, that's fine too. If you can get it down, awesome. This is so good for the round back that sometimes starts to happen from postural stuff. We're sitting at the computer a lot. It feels really good on my back. I hope it feels good on yours. Lift up. Exhale, press. Let's do 3 more. Good. Sit even taller. Lift through the sternum. And last one, up. Big exhale, press out. Come up and over. And we're gonna tie it together again for a side lying series, okay? So it's gonna be super effective, if you know what I mean. So we're going to put it back around the thighs. We're going to tie it together so it's about hip distance. We're going to do a sideline series where you've got some options, okay? If you've got any elbow to our forearms, okay? Also, if you just need a little bit of padding, feel free to use a pillow. Like my elbow's been giving me a little bit of trouble, so I'm just going to have a little bit of pad underneath it. So find where your band is around your thighs. You've got a little bend to your bottom leg, okay? You're going to come onto your forearms so that your joints are pretty stacked. Your elbow is right underneath the elbow if you can do that comfortably. Your hips are stacked, okay? Top hand can rest on the mat, or for more challenge, it can come to the hip. You're going to lift the leg to hip height, and then we're going to swing the leg forwards and back without changing the position of the upper body. So your upper body is still. You can either have the head tilted to the side here or up a little bit here so the neck is a little longer, whatever makes you feel like you have less tension in your neck. Cool. Keep pressing into the forearm so that you feel the ribs from this underneath side almost lift up and away from the mat. You're swinging the leg forwards and back, moving just from your hip joint, not from your lower back, not from the spine. Good. 2 more. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Forwards. Back. And then we're going to pause with the leg right in front of the hip. So line is just a little bit forwards. We're going to lift and lower. Keep pressing into the forearm so the shoulder stays really strong. Lift as high as you can. 2, 1. Give it a little rest. You can come off of your forearm if that feels good. And this is your other option if you're not using, if you're not up on your forearm. You do all the same leg movements that we are. You're just down on the ground. Okay. We're going to do just a couple more sets there. We're going to come up. We're going to go fix my band. If it starts to bunch up, it kind of starts to hurt my thighs. So if it's doing that to you, definitely just take the time to fix it. And then when you're ready, that bottom leg stays a little bit bent, stays on the ground. Press into the forearm, get really long and tall, and then lift the leg up. We're going to draw circles now. Up, around, and back. Keep the pelvis steady. And think about reaching long this way through your leg. 4, 3, 2, switch directions. As we're getting smaller, 2, 1, rest. Yeah, that felt awesome. Okay, so from here, we're gonna do just a little, you're gonna keep the top leg bent so it almost looks like the bottom leg. You're gonna lift it up to hip height, flex the foot so the toes are pointing towards the knees, and then we're gonna press back. It's like a little pulse from the knee and the thigh, almost like you were trying to kick the person behind you. Make sure that your torso isn't starting to roll forwards, and we're pressing back. Keep the bottom knee as heavy as you can, pulse back, back, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest. Go ahead and come up and switch sides. We'll keep the band where it is. Come on to the other forearm. And remember, if you've got shoulder stuff on one side and not the other, just modify as needed down onto your arm. Okay, and now from here, we're going to side lie. And we're going to get bottom leg a little bit, top leg really long. Find your upper body posture, a little nod up with your head. We're going to lift to hip height and then come forwards and back. Remember, it's not forwards and back like this so that you're just swinging your leg and you're sweeping with your upper body. We're trying to stabilize the upper body so that this movement is only coming from your hip joint and pressing so there's enough tension into the band that you're at about hip height. Okay, forwards, back, forwards, back. Press into the forearm so the shoulder doesn't start to get lazy. We've got 2 more. Forwards, back, 1 more, come back, and then let the leg come slightly in front of the hip line, and then we're going to lift and lower. Press into that band. Use your exhale. Make sure that when you're kicking up, your hip isn't rolling backwards. Okay, that weight should stay right on top of the hip. 4 more. Keep pushing into the forearm. Watch that shoulder. Once it gets tired, it'll start to shrug. 3, 2, lift and hold, little pulses. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. I feel the burn on those. Give your upper body just a quick break, little stretch. We'll come up and go again with circles, okay? Lengthen the upper body, find that little side bend position, hover the leg, circle. Don't care which way you go, just make sure you remember which way it is so you can switch. For 4, 3, 2, 1, switch directions, up. 4, breathe, draw the ribs in, keep the chest open. 2, 1. Whew, I don't even call that last one a circle for me. Nice work. Last set, both of the legs are bent, a little bit bigger than 90 degrees. Lift the top leg, keep it about hip height, flex the toes forwards towards the camera, press back, back. When you do this, it's not because you're pushing your pelvis forwards or your upper body forwards, it's just the thigh that pushes behind the pelvis. Try to keep the knee up to hip height, pulse 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. We're going to come up to a Z-sit position, okay? We're going to get rid of the band for now. If you want to untie it, you can. We're going to untie and tie one more time. Sorry. I'm going to get really good at untying your bands. And maybe that'll spark you to get a double band. Okay, so sitting with a Z-sit position here. We're going to go both ways. So whichever one you pick is fine. If you sit like this, and it looks like this, your hip is super up off of the mat, you need to support your pelvis with a block or a book or whatever you have at home. You're gonna support it underneath the opposite hip though, okay? So I've got my right leg in internal rotation here and my left leg in external rotation. It's a little tight for me today on this side, so I'm gonna prop up my left hip. And that's where the block is gonna go. That's gonna give me a little bit more room to breathe through my internal rotators in my right hip. Arms are gonna reach out towards the sides. We're gonna go away from the legs. So whichever way you're sitting, you're gonna let that arm come down to the mat. We're gonna come up and over. If you're on a block, you won't have a huge bend in your elbow. If you're on the ground, you'll have a nice soft elbow, okay? You're gonna come back up and we'll go to the opposite side. Exhale as you come over. Try to keep both sit bones grounded wherever they are, if they're propped on a book or whatever. Exhale as you side bend. Pause in this side bend. See if you can push into the hand on the mat to help expand the ribs up on top. Good. Come up and over. And switch. Stretch. Mermaid's one of my favorites. Come up. Exhale, we're gonna pause on this side so you're away to the camera. Do that again, exhale, twist. Keep the opposite sit bone back and heavy towards the ground. And open, we've got 2 more rotations. Exhale. Inhale, open. Last one, exhale, like you're wringing out a wet towel, you're wringing out all the stress away. Come back up. Exhale to center, one little counter stretch to the other side, and then we're just going to switch the hip. It's my right leg that's going to sit here. I have a little knee injury, so I just like to prop my knee up on this side. If you get any knee pain in either knee in this position and the block underneath doesn't help, you can just take the foot out and you can do the same movements, the same thing, okay? When you're ready, arms reach out towards the side. You're going to let away from the leg, so this arm comes down, soften, and press up and over. Little side bend, make sure you're just tipping your head to the side like you were trying to get water out of that ear. Come back up and switch. Exhale. Noticing, pause for a minute, press into that hand on the mat. See if you can expand the rib cage. Up and over. We'll do one more time to each side and then we'll hold. And then open back up. As you twist, keep that opposite sit bone heavy to the mat. Open. Exhale, round through the upper back as you twist. We'll do 2 more. Exhale. Up. And twist. Take the band. We're going to come to a seated position with legs outstretched. If you have tight hamstrings, prop yourself on a book. Grab your untied TheraBand. Sit on your block and let your legs come just a little bit wider. Okay, so when you're holding it, just a little bit outside. Now practice some rotation in the spine twist. Legs can be about hip distance. Most importantly, we're sitting up really tall. If you've got your prop underneath you and you still look like this, you can't get your weight in front of your legs, you need to bend your knees enough so that you can do this. Okay, so you can sit really tall. If cross-legged works better for you too, you can do that too, all right? Lots of options there for those tight hammies or tight low backs, okay? Arms reaching out. Go ahead and give just a little pull into your band. We're gonna think about getting taller as we do this. We're gonna inhale here. On our exhale, we're gonna pull into the band as we twist open, okay? So this arm stays pretty still, whichever one you're twisting away from. This arm is gonna reach really long. Come back to center, and then we're gonna switch sides. Let's pull that right arm out towards the ears here. Try to keep those wrists really straight as well. Exhale, twist, open. Watch your legs. Keep the pelvis grounded into whatever prop you have. You start to feel it in your neck, just go wider on your grip on your band, or don't use it at all. Open. And keep your feet, so like your feet shouldn't change position. If you're doing this, that's where your hips are starting to try to do the rotation for you. Try to keep them really still as you just open through the chest, the spine, and the head. Good. Let's do 1 more on each side. Exhale, open. Close. Last one, sit even taller. Exhale, press to the side. Open. Let's go 1 arm up, or both arms up. Let's do 1 more of those little stretches behind the back. Lift up. Let's take a stretch forwards. Bend your knees if you need to. Nice. And we're gonna come up to a kneeling position. So high kneeling with your untied band still. I'm gonna practice some thigh stretch. If you need, you can double up your mat to kneel on if you have sensitive knees and you're on a hardwood floor like me, or just put a little pad underneath there, okay? Remember, if the band is starting to get to be too much, just drop it. You can do all these same exercises, no problem. At about shoulder width, just find a little bit of tension, okay? And then find as vertical as you can be through your spine, hips, and knees in your body. Try not to start here. Try not to start here with lots of crease in your hip, okay? Send the hips forward. It's from right here in my knee joint. My hips stay up as it tips backwards, so there's no, it's very stiff in the upper body, okay? And using the pressure and the tension out into the band to almost help this movement, okay? So inhale back. Exhale forwards. If you have tight quadriceps, you will feel quite a decent stretch and probably eventually a nice little burn in there. Keep pulling gently into the band so there's tension the whole time. Inhale back. Exhale forwards. When you come forwards, notice if you come too fast, this will happen, okay? And you'll fall forwards, you'll lose all the weight and the balance in the knees and the feet. So try to keep tucked. Out, out, come up. Okay, inhale back. Exhale, press 3, 2, 1. Come up. 3 more. Inhale back. Press 3, 2, 1. Come forwards. Up. Back. 3, 2. Are you breathing? 1. Forwards. Last one. Hinge back. Keep the body nice and long and straight on that diagonal. Press out. Hold the band out. Stretch it out. See if you can hinge back just a bit further. Come all the way back up. and stretch forwards. Nice. Go ahead and get rid of your band. We're going to come into quadruped and check in with how you feel. That band will sneak up on you, right? Good. One more time in each direction. Nice. Come to center. So you're in your neutral spine, but now on all fours. I'm going to practice an exercise called leg pull front. Basically a plank with a leg lift. Make sure you have enough space on your mat to extend your legs behind you for a plank. Okay. We're going to reach one leg back and then the other. We're going to hold and settle in so that the hips are just slightly below the shoulders. And then we're going to hover one foot. We're going to lift just as high as you can without letting the hips rotate or the knee bend. 3 times on one side. Steps there. Whichever one you prefer. Lift back. Okay, now when you hover the leg, I want you to do that and see if you can reach it a little further away from you before you lift. And then keep that lower back really strong. Only move from the back of the leg. Switch. 3, 2, keep pressing into those hands. 1, down to the knees. Quick rest, quick stretch back. Good, come back up. Last set. Okay, reach. Hold. Hover the opposite foot, reach it long. Lift. Come back across to the opposite side. Good. Back to center, your child's pose, come back up. We're gonna go into a plank. Your head is totally weightless and your arms are dangling. Hang out here for a minute, roll back and forth through the feet. Now center the weight through your feet, almost a little bit towards the ball of the foot, and then work your spine on top of your pelvis, lower spine, middle back, shoulders, neck, and then head. Let's do one more of those for good measure. Nod the chin, roll down, shoulder blades spread wide. And keep the femurs right on top of the knees the whole time. Soften the knees if you need to. Keep the top of the head heavy, maybe shake it yes and no. And then roll back up. Pelvis first, middle back, up and to the top. Grab your band one last time, tie it together. This one you'll want the circle to be just a little bit wider, and we're going to do base, okay? So we're here. We are going to, if you've done this in PT, or if you've done PT for anything here, you've probably done this before. We're going to reach the arms forwards. We're going to come into a squat, and we're going to do these little crab walks from side to side. Okay, the smaller your band, the harder this is going to be. Okay, take those big steps. Stay in your squat as you do it, and work it. Breathe. Get a little lower if you can. Out, out, out. Remember, you don't need the band to do this, but it will make it a lot more challenging. Step, okay? We're gonna make it to the other side. We're gonna pause, and we're gonna pulse the squat. Down and up. For 6, 5, 2, 1. Stand tall, little rest, okay? Come back to the center of your mat. We're gonna come into a little squat. We're gonna stand and we're gonna kick out. Squat, stand, kick out. When you stand, try to keep this leg vertical. Try not to send your weight too far to the side, okay? Squat, stand, press. Squat, stand, press. Hold this side, come out, lift, pull. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, come down, take your band off. Let's do just a couple of little lifts and lowers in the ankles. Check in with the body, try to send the weight straight up. And that is it. We made it through a TheraBand class. So I'll repost that, or it'll be up on my YouTube channel right away. For joining me